I was wondering how many people were going to come tonight. I'm really glad to see you. Thank you, because it would have been really hard if it was just me and maybe two other people or something like that. I mean, really. So at least we have some people. We can make it a little bit of an intimate. And yeah, so let's join together. This is Dodie Lee. It's on page 129. Dodie Lee va ani lo haroe hashoshanim. Dodie Lee va ani lo haroe hashoshanim. Mizotola min hamidbar mizotola. Mikuteret mor ulevona dodili va ani lo haroe bashoshanim dodili va ani lo haroe bashoshanim libavtini Achoti chala, libavtini chala, libavtini. Achoti chala, libavtini chala, dodi liva ani lo haroe bashoshanim, dodi liva ani lo haroe. Bashoshani Uri Tahafon Uvoiteman Uri Tahafon Uvoiteman Dodili Ba'ani Lo Haroe Bashoshanim Dodi liva anilo haroe ashoshani. All right, I'm really so grateful to see everyone, and we continue with the lighting of the Shabbat, excuse me, candles. I do not have COVID, even though other rabbis rabbis are going down like flies across America. Like, really, everyone's going to be tuning into Temple Beth Shalom's stream because I'm going to be the last rabbi standing. They're all going down. It's very funny. It's not funny. It's sad, but it's funny. All right, so we continue with the Shabbat, lighting of the Shabbat candles, and you can find it on page 120, and Karen Cook is going to light the Shabbat candles for us. We're very grateful. As she's coming up, I just want you to know that this is a very, very special Shabbat. It's called Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of Return, the one that happens between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I'll tell you about that in just 1 second. But right now, do you want to read something first and then do it? You know what? I forgot to get. Oh, I can just.
So may we, by our lives, light all who us. Your brightness reminds us, generations of Israel who kindle light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who.
Beautiful. So now you can light the candles. I'll take that back. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. We're now on 123 with Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tzihiyat mihitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat. All right, so I was about to tell you why this is a special Shabbat. The one that's between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's called Shabbat Shuvah. Yes, that's special. But what you didn't know is this is one of the most important Shabbats of the year, and the reason why is because this is when the rabbis get to spend a lot of time talking about all of the rules of Yom Kippur, the restrictions of Yom Kippur, and the rules. There are two. There's one that comes right before Passover, and one that comes right before Yom Kippur. So, Shabbat Shuvah. So, we're going to be here a while tonight. Because I'm going to have to go into depth and detail about all of the reasons and all the things that you can and can't do when it's Yom Kippur. We're on page 138, Lecha Dodi. There are, by the way, some special changes to the service tonight. Let me just give you a little heads up. I'll tell you when they're going to come. But for all year long, if you come here to services, you stare at the prayer book, and it says, in this prayer book, it says, on Shabbat Shuvah, say this instead, right? So guess what? Tonight is Shabbat Shuvah. So we've been waiting, and it's finally here. This is Lecha Dodi, page 138. Likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nikabela shamor v'zachor B'dibor echad hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'letila lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala B'nei B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki hi mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh machshavat hila olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 5 now. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai elayich nigla olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Last verse, verse 9. Would you please rise and face the entrance to the sanctuary, because we're greeting the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Please remain standing. We're on page 146. This is the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. All right, in English, briefly, page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Please join me. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. We're now on page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. We're now on the next page. Join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta baham v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isha'arecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'tem kedoshim leloechem, Ahani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. 157, standing at the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. Wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching. 158, Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora no'i tehilot Oseh ve'ele malechutecha Ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai there's something about Shabbat that draws us to this place no matter what the season is, no matter what the time. And there are some things, it's still Shabbat, so we got to come to the synagogue. And this is the one prayer of all which is most specific to Shabbat. It's, I think you know it, V'shamru. So, join me, please. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat lasod et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. איש ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. All right, so the tefillah is next. And I tell you this because this is where, of all things, we're going to see some major changes. Well, major is a big word. The biggest changes we'll have in our service come in this section. They're going to come as part of the as part of the avot, and then as part of the gevurot as well, and even the kedusha. So on page 166, 168, and 170, there's a little change on each one of those pages. But we can start out familiar. The Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, page 164. Please rise. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach fi Yahagi Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Fi Yahagi Tehilatecha. 166 Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Norah, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Ahavot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo b'Ahava, join me. Zochreinu l'chaim, Melech hafetz b'chayim, v'chotvenu b'sefer hachayim, L'mancha Elohim chayim. Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah. Next page, 168. Atagibor leolam Adonai, Mechayeh kol atarav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel hayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim v'rofech oholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha bal gevurot umido melach melech memit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua special edition michamocha. Kavocha, Av HaRachamim, Zocher, Zocher Yitzurav, L'chaim Berachamim, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yalalu chasela. Baruch ata Adonai, special edition, HaMelech HaKadosh. Please be seated. So we are now, I can take out my little post-it notes saying, don't forget, because, you know, it's hard, sometimes we go into autopilot too. There's one more still, but I can take out my notes for now. We're on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. And may all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. Now, Shalom Rav 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'enech levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rahav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. And then a special edition. Sefer Chaim bracha v'shalom ufarnasa tova nizacher v'nikatev lefanecha anachnu v'chol amcha beit Yisrael L'chaim tovim u'leshalom. Baruch atah Adonai useh hashalom. All right, so I invite you now to put down your prayer books, at least momentarily, and here. And we're going to share a little bit of whatever we want to share. There's only a handful of people here, so this, doesn't have to be, won't be here forever. But since there's only a handful of people here, it gives us an opportunity to share the joy and the struggles that are in our lives. And every time we hear some joy, we'll say, "Ken Yehi," which means let it be or may it be. And later on, we'll do some struggles, but first joy. So if you've got joy that you want to share, just raise your hand. Tell me about it. Yes, Merv, you get to go first.
For me, the great joy was high holidays, having our very own meaningful sleep as
It was great.
She was awesome and
Yep.
having the quiet for
Yeah, she was great. Lena was fabulous. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Anybody else want to share joy? Yeah, Dave. Oldest grandson coming in for Yom Kippur. That's awesome. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Yeah, Jay. You made a brown bread challah for the first time. What? Just explain the brown. Round. That explains a lot. Remember when I was telling you that I'm really... we were both like, brown. What's the deal with brown challah? Round. Yep, round as the year is round. Does not start, does not end. It just keeps going round and around and around. But you do not eat that on Yom Kippur. Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Anybody else got joy? No other joy, huh? Baruch atah Adonai, Gomel Chasadim Tovim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, for partnering with us in the many joys that are in our lives. Amen. Along with joy, of course, is the struggle. Loved ones are not feeling shalom, not feeling a sense of wholeness. And we have a blessing we say for them called Misha Berach. And so I'll begin the blessing, and then I'll pause halfway through and give you a chance to share any name that you wish for a person who is in need of healing. And then afterwards we'll sing. So the blessing goes, Misha Berach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, V'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. Those words mean, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. V'yivarech v'yiraped kol hacholim shelanu. May God bless and heal all of our loved ones who are in need of healing, especially the ones whom we name at this time. So if you'd like to share a name of a person in need of healing, please feel free to. Cindy, go ahead. Denise Strauss. Anybody else? Missed the chance? All right, Eric Harris, Mika Rom, Leslie Harris, Allison Herman, Pamela Goldberg, Sarah McCammon, and Arden. Yishlach lehem bimheira, refuah shalema. May God send them speedily a complete recovery. Refuat hanefesh for refuat haguf, a healing of body and a healing of spirit. B'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael, amongst all who are in need of healing. V'nomar amen. Let us say amen. If you would like to follow along with Misha Berach, you can find it on page 371. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. All right, we pause now for a moment of silence. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Yihule ratzon yimrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai. Shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru. So I bluffed. I was just trying to scare you. I do not have a very long, in-depth, and detailed sermon this evening. Rather, just a very, very, very brief story that I remember from quite a while ago. But it's kind of a, and I have to admit that I don't love this story. I love this story and don't love this story, because I don't think it really, it doesn't do Reform Judaism justice. But that's okay, because I love the point of it, despite the fact that it's kind of a little mildly insulting to Reform Judaism. But I'm going to go with it anyway, just because I really kind of always thought it was just a pretty story. And it's a true, by the way, lots of times I tell stories and claim that they're true, but they're not. This one is actually a true story. Now, I could very likely be embellishing it a little bit. I don't know if I'm embellishing it. I know that it happened. Now, whether the details of the story got a little bit kind of changed over the years in the telling, that's very possible. But for the most part, it's a true story. And it's a story about the Lubavitcher Rebbe named Menachem Schneerson. And the New York Board of Rabbis president or director, whose name was David Kunstler. So these two rabbis, Kunstler was called to meet with Schneerson in Williamsburg, in Brooklyn, in New York. This is probably about 30 years ago. And Schneerson kind of calls him to his residence and to the headquarters of the Lubavitcher headquarters and says, to Kunstler that they have a problem, and Kunstler, is kind of delighted that he got invited to meet with, because Schneerson was just kind of an elusive, and also was famous, at least in that neighborhood. No one gets to just go meet with the Rebbe Schneerson in any event, but Kunstler came by, and Schneerson said he had a problem that he needed help with. And Kunstler said, sure, let me see what I can do. And Schneerson was under the impression, and maybe it was true, but that the director of the New York Board of Rabbis had some sort of pull with the Building Commission Code of New York. It's not exactly clear, but Schneerson said, look across the street. They're about to build a huge, huge apartment complex. And Kunstler says to him, I don't think I can, stop this, if that's what you're asking. I think this is happening. And Schneerson says to him, oh, no, I know it's happening, and I don't want you to stop. And so Kunstler asked him, what exactly he wants him to do. And Schneerson says, you think you can ask him to reserve the lower floors for the Jews? It's because, that the top floors, if the Jews are living on the top floors, then once a week on Shabbat, then they're going to have to walk all those stairs. And all he asked was that if they could reserve the lower floors for the Jews. And so Kunstler says to him, Rebbe, I'm kind of surprised. He says, that you said for the Jews, because I would have expected you to say for the Lubavitcher Jews. Because it's your people who live in this area and who will likely be needing to avoid this elevator on Shabbat. But there are a fair number of secular Jews who it doesn't matter to them if they ride the elevator on Shabbat. And Schneerson says to him, no, all the Jews. And so Kunstler says to him, why? And Schneerson says, it's because they may not be avoiding an elevator on Shabbat today, but you never know about tomorrow. Right? That's the whole story. And again, the reason why it's a little mildly not so nice towards Reform Jews, because it suggests that the fact that we as liberal Reform Jews might feel comfortable riding an elevator on Shabbat, it makes us in some way wrong. And I don't believe that. But I still like the story, and let me tell you why. I like the story because, here we are between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's kind of, Shabbat Shuvah. And Shuvah means return or even repentance, Sabbath of repentance. And, the Rosh Hashanah, it's filled with the majesty and grace of the new year. And it's, even though we understand to be the High Holy Days, it's kind of really more of a celebratory day of High Holy Days. But then when Yom Kippur comes around, it doesn't have the same celebratory feel. Right? Yom Kippur comes around, and it's really a solemn day. And so the fact is that between these two days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, of all days, it really is, it's kind of like do the work, do the work, get ready, because we set the table for you at Rosh Hashanah. You know, it's so that when Yom Kippur rolls around, that's when you do the hard work. So prepare yourself, get ready. And the story about Schneerson and Kunstler communicates kind of a sweet message, even shrouded in a little bit of something I don't love, but a sweet message, which is that, you know, we are one way, one day. But that doesn't mean that we are the next day. We are not the same person. We don't have to be the same person that we were yesterday. We can choose to be different. We can choose to look at things differently. We can choose to embrace relationships differently. And that's within our power. And Schneerson knew it too. Again, don't fully love the message, but it still was a true story, so I liked it anyway. And that is because he saw that people have the capacity to change. And when, if not during this week between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is that a more important reminder for us? That if we think, you know, they say you can't teach an old dog hard tricks, new tricks, that's right. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can. That's just an easy, lazy way of explaining why people choose not to change. And teach an old dog new tricks. That old dog just needs to be prepared to learn that. So you got a few days. You have the capacity to change. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. You realize that. I hope I do too, not just you. I hope we all do. So let's, I told you it wasn't going to be so long. Let's continue with Aleinu. That's on page 586. And when you get to 586, if you wouldn't mind, please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, thank you, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. Please be seated. We are on page, how about 596, please. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now, they live in our hearts, they are an abiding blessing. So, at this moment of sacred memory, we bring to mind loved ones from our congregation who have been called to their eternal rest. We have loved ones who have passed away somewhat recently, and we are still in the period of Shloshim, or the 30 days of intensive mourning. We are in that period for Judy Sarubin, wife of Jay Resnick. Don Singer, husband of Mary McCutcheon. Andrea Diane Chaparral, cousin of Cindy Fox, is that right? Am I correct here? This is not clear. Apologize. But we also know Beth Smith, who was wife of Riley Smith. We also remember these loved ones whose yahrzeits are on this Shabbat. Peggy Buckland, Carl Condon, Ellen Elbich, along with Florence Beck and Samuel Cheskis, Ralph Grossman, Rena Secunda, Anthony Farside, Louise Heimberg, Nadia Lebedev, Ida Weitzman Bernson, Irma Reamer Jacobs, Roselle Hofberger Schul, Harvey Rosenblum, William Buchanan, Lois Harrison, Clive Gregory Sandy, and Morris Stempler. And so, gratitude for their lives and linking their names with the rest of our loved ones who have passed away. We remember them with the words of our mourner's prayer, which is called the Kaddish, 598. And if it's your custom, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechal beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei al-maya, yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yipromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram b'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Usei shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort every bereaved. All right, so we're almost done with our service, and again, thank you so much for being here with me. Just a handful of things I want to tell you. Of course, we look forward to seeing you on Sunday and Monday, Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur. And remember, things are happening here all day on Yom Kippur. You can just come and be at the synagogue all day long, from morning to evening, and have something here for you. So feel free to look at the temple's website for the various different programs and services that are happening all through the day. Social Action Committee needs you. Please do not forget to bring in your donations on Yom Kippur from My Brother's Pantry. Friday the 29th, I guess that's next week. The Temple Michelin board installation and our Shabbat service. If you have kids of youth group age, that would be 8th through 12th grade. The youth group is having a movie night in the sukkah, and they are showing the movie You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. It's supposedly great. I've specifically not watched it yet, so I can watch it with the youth group. That is Saturday the 30th, so a week from tomorrow. Also, the Rosh Chodesh Sukkah Saunter. That is alliteration. People will be joining here on Sunday the 1st at 1 o'clock and then taking a little walk around the neighborhood, I think, together. So it's a nice opportunity to get some steps in and reconnect with old friends. Simchat Torah Festival Service with Yiskor is on October 7th. We have an adult education program called Dirty Words. I won't tell you any more than that, but it's going to be fascinating, with Dr. Barry Gitlin, who is professor at Towson University in the Jewish Hebrew College. My weekly Torah study begins on the 16th of October. My weekly Sages study begins soon after, and then Hasidic Stories with Rabbi Yitz Nates, a two-part class. The first one begins on the 17th. You don't have to remember all these dates. You just have to know, if you heard things which sound interesting, to go to our website to find out exactly when everything starts up again. Okay, I'm done with my announcements. Let's motzi, and then, oh, see, this is great. Vered Mullen made a challah and brought it over here for Shabbat. Make sure that you can take some of it at the oneg. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Speaking of the oneg, thank you so much to Andy Kozilski, Beth and Victor Plavner, Dana and Jason Schalheim for sponsoring the oneg. And thank you so much to Michael Rubenstein for serving as our usher. We were going to sing Shir Hamalit, but I changed my mind when I realized that, you know what, let's do something that's a little bit more High Holy Day. 662. This song is called Avinu Malkeinu. All right, Avinu Malkeinu. I think you know this. Please join me. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu, Ki ein banu mahasi. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu, Ki ein banu ma'asi. Thank you so much for being here. Please join in the lobby for an Oneg Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, Gamar Chatima Tova, which means may your final inscription be a good one. And yeah, all those Shabbat Shaloms and things for you. And Shabbat Shalom to anyone who watched on the stream tonight. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu, Ki ein banu ma'asi. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Honenu Vahanenu, Ki ein banu